Okay, Orlando Wilson here. And what I want to talk about in this video is working in the US. And a lot of people seem to think, maybe because they watch too many movies, too many TV shows, that to work in the US you can just turn up and get a work permit and, well, just turn up and work without the work permit. I was speaking to somebody recently. They phoned me up, they're asking me about somebody who I don't know of, but don't know personally, and courses they're providing, etc. And this person said to the person who was talking to me, well, if you do our course, we can sort you out work in the United States, we've got work coming up, and etc. And this guy phoned me up and said, is this Jen? Is it legit? I said, well, no, you can't work in the US unless you have work permit to start with, etc., etc. I'll explain that in a second. You know what? I lived and worked in the US for 18 years. I still pay my taxes in the US. I had security license, well, the licenses I had: security guard license, armed security license, concealed weapons permit, state of Florida. I'd done over 1,000, provided over 1,000 concealed weapons permit classes for people. I had a private investigator's license, private investigation agency license. So I understand how the US works a little bit, especially as far as licensing is concerned. The standard of licensing, the professional standards, are not high, but you need the licenses. When I had an agency, okay, to have, let's say, a private investigation agency, you need the private investigator's license, you need the agency license. If you're working armed, you need the armed security license, which is different than the concealed weapons permit license. To have the agency, you need to have a registered office. The office has to be inspected. You need an occupational permit. Chances are you're going to need a fire inspection. So people think you're just going to turn up and work in the US is BS, unless you're being a cowboy and you're working illegally. Because in most states in the US, the security investigations business is licensed. Okay, now let's say in most places, if you turn up and you provide courses, and I know people, they provide events and courses in different countries, etc. We do it. Generally, people don't care as long as you're not going in and competing with the locals. If you're going in and providing a training course, an event, a seminar, okay, no worries. But as soon as you start going in and, well, in theory, the fact you're turning up and working means you're breaking the law, because you're going in most places on a tourist visa. If you're going in to work, then you need to declare that you're working. But stuff like that, people generally don't pay much attention to unless there's a problem. If there's a problem, then you could be done for working illegally, etc., because you're working on a tourist visa. They're tourist visas, not work visas. Even down to in the US, and I had a run-in, we got swatted once, which is a whole nother story, which means somebody I know, a competitor, called a SWAT team on us, which is illegal, but as far as I know, he had buddies in the police department, or buddies in the city, not the police department, which meant this guy could get away with it, because I take it he thought we weren't competing with him because he was a fucking idiot. But we got swatted, a SWAT team got called on us. And when we tried to go to the cops and say, well, we know who done it, oh, it's anonymous call, whatever. Bullshit, they knew who done it as well. But he had friends. That's America. So this is where, even down in the individual cities, you can be pulled for not having an occupational permit to work in that city, etc., etc. So the US is a land of rules and regulations. Now back down to what this guy was saying. This person offered him, we'll do our course and you go work in the US. Well, we possibly have work in the US. I said to him, well, it's not, again, I'm not into registered courses anyway. Apparently the course is an okay course, so no worries. But again, that course is not going to give you it doesn't mean anything internationally as far as licensing is concerned. I think, and again, a lot of the bullshit these days is coming out of UK and their bullshit SIA license. I've had foreign close protection people ask me, and I've got no clue about what's going on in UK these days. To me, it's Bollywood on steroids. And people have said to me, they've been told that if they go into UK with close protection clients, they need to be licensed. The SIA, I don't know if they're doing a foreign license or something, but they have to be licensed to provide any type of services in the UK. Same in US. If you're providing security services, you can get away with consultancy services in some places. You have to be licensed. People have said, we've got a company. Some people think they can get around the laws in US by registering a company. Okay, you can register a company. I think in the state of Florida, it takes 24 hours. Anybody can register a company. There's people doing it. Some people I know even got bank accounts in US, which how they've done that without a social security number is questionable. Because to do anything US, you need a social security number. Just because you got a company, it doesn't mean you can work in the US. You have a company. You do not have the right to work in the United States. You not having the right to work in the United States means you're not going to get any security licenses, etc. To carry, you can, if you're there on a work permit, etc., you can have firearms. But to carry firearms, to get carry permits to work in the armed security sector, you need to have a residency, which is a green card, or you need to be a citizenship, or you need to have citizenship. You're just not going to turn up and be given a gun and go play Kevin Costner. So there you've got, there's a lot of rules and regulations in the United States about the security business. And generally, you know what, the laws in US are, how can I put it? If you prove beyond any reasonable doubt you were trying your best, 100%, and there was a problem, generally they can be forgiving, lenient and forgiving. But if you're going in and doing stupid shit, turning up, working illegally, etc. Well, these days with the Biden administration, I'm not sure. But where security is concerned, if you're working illegally, if you're working without a license, and the state inspectors or whoever determines that you're working illegally, that's an immediate arrest because you're providing licensed services without a license. Now, generally everything's good until things go bad. And if you're out on the street providing advisory services, people from overseas going into US and even going into how many states, you have to know the state laws, the state rules, the state regulations, which vary from state to state. If you're going in from overseas and you start telling locals what to do and all the rest of it, I guarantee, and it's the same anywhere, they'll be calling their division of licensing saying, we got somebody here working illegally. It's the same as, put it into context, if somebody from outside the UK went into UK and started managing and coordinating security personnel there, and they never had a license, I guarantee people would be calling up SIA and trying to get them fired, etc. Trying to get them deported. Why? It's competition. And you know what, I hear all these, especially off this thing, we got a foreign company wanting to go into US and well, saying they can go in and work in US and do our course and you can work in US. You know what, I've been through the licensing system in US, as I said, multiple times, and it's a pain in the ass. It costs money. It costs money. Security agencies in the state of Florida, you need insurance. Investigation agencies, you don't, but you need to have insurance. So the outlay of just running a licensed agency in US, it costs money. It takes a lot of going through a lot of bureaucracy, paperwork, etc. So as everywhere, it's the same as if you had a company in UK, you go through the licenses, or anywhere, you go through the licensing procedures, you tick the boxes, you go through the BS, you pay the money out. And now you got foreigners turning up thinking they can do what the hell they want, and just because they think they're special. You know what, that's complete and utter bullshit. If people are telling you that you can go do their course and they'll give you work in US and nobody will mind, etc., etc., you know what, I'd question that person's, let me say question their ethics, I question their sanity, because all they're going to be doing, if one of their people they sent to US to do a job has an issue, they're going to be getting into a lot of trouble. It's all right for them because they'll be sat on their ass somewhere else, but the people on the ground, if they're involved in, let's say, a hostile situation, they can end up going to jail for a long time. The other thing as well, I'd question American companies using foreign security. The main thing I'd question there, the main issue would be, is the insurance going to be valid? Because the US is a land of it's a land of lawsuits. So everybody's hot on insurance. If you've got foreign advisors coming in working for a US company on US soil that are unlicensed, that do not have a licensed agency, a license to provide security services, etc., is that going to be valid for insurance purposes? And generally, with insurance purposes, if something goes wrong, if there's security involved, the insurance investigator is going to look through who were the people providing you with security, who were advising you. Okay, they're not licensed. Okay, they're working in the US illegally. They don't have any licenses, etc., etc. You know what? This policy's void because you busted it. And you know what? Even down to, if you're providing security services, even if you're advertising services in the state of Florida, you have to be licensed. You could go in, and I had this conversation with somebody a long time ago. You could go in and set up a company called, I don't know, Joe Blogg's Close Protection Agency. The fact you set that company up and the state would look at it, you've got the intent of providing close protection services in the state of Florida and you're not licensed, you could be fined for that. Because again, it shows intent to provide the services and you're unlicensed. You have to have your agency license numbers on all your advertising so it can be checked. You can check the licenses on you can check somebody's individual licenses, you can check agency licenses. So even though the standards of the licensing, the training for licenses in the US is not high, there's a lot of bureaucracy involved. And again, if you're not licensed, in those places, if you're not licensed and insured, you'll be looked upon as providing illegal services and you can end up getting arrested, get your ass thrown in jail. So be very careful and wary of people offering you wonderful things if you do their courses. It's an age-old tactic to get people to do courses, to say to them, oh, if you do our course, we'll give you a job, we'll give you this, we'll give you that, yeah, don't worry about it, we're high speed. And in the end, if somebody does get a job, as in this case, they can end up in a lot of trouble. It might be glamorous for 5 minutes, but might get away with it once, might get away with it twice, but if it goes bad, you're going to end up in a lot of trouble. So I speak from my experience of being in security investigation business in US for 18 years. So if you got any comments, if you got any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Follow me along on social media. My main thing is LinkedIn. We have stuff on X, YouTube, Instagram, etc., etc. So follow me along. If you got any questions, reach out. I also have an array of books up on Amazon that talks about various aspects of the close protection business, kidnap, ransom, travel security, and I got 4 books up on crime fiction. So follow me along. Any questions, reach out. And in the meantime, be good, stay safe. As always, stay out of trouble and don't believe the bullshitters.